Welcome back, everyone. Another massive episode of Tommy Talks today. This week, we are joined by Julien Moussi, the king of hospitality. If you love our business podcast, you love coffee, you love beers, you love the pubs, you love the hospitality industry, well, look no further, listen no further, open your ears because this one is amazing. We get numbers. The great man breaks down rev on all his businesses. He is the director of Only Hospitality Group and Inglewood Coffee Roasters. These businesses are humming. You're probably drinking at his pubs this weekend. You're probably drinking coffees during the week. You're going to love this podcast. I won't talk too much more about it, but Julien Moussi opens up about his whole career and gives us a few tips along the way. So tune in. Aces, I know I always go on about the RIXXs, but I got huge news. We have all our styles and colours restocked on the website right now. It's been months. We ran out of stock, but we're back. Get online, grab some sunglasses at rixxeyewear.com.au right now and use our little discount code ACES if you want a 20% discount code on the house. Righto, let's get into the show. What about the moose? Do you get the moose?
I do. A little bit of that.
Yeah, love it. Little, everyone will know you as the moose. Now, just while everyone's listening, there's a reason why we may or may not be putting this to YouTube. I've chipped my tooth in the shower last night, brushing the chompers. It's not too bad. You reckon it's all right?
No, honestly, it's fine. You cannot even tell.
I couldn't believe it last night.
He's carrying on.
Well, what do you think's going through my head? We're recording this at 10 a.m. and I'm brushing my teeth just before midnight, and I've felt a triangle between my teeth. I'm going, come on, this can't be serious.
Genuinely, if you didn't say anything, I wouldn't have thought.
You would have been going, yes, you would have said something. You're too nice. Anyway, mate, Julien Moussi, welcome to the pod.
Thanks, mate.
It's been great to get you on. I've been talking to you for a while now, but the king of coffee and hospitality, I'm very excited to talk to you about, everything.
I cringe a bit with that intro, mate. But
you would. What is your We'll talk about your story to start off with. I reckon your origin story, just growing up, all the way into when the business started. I'd love you just to fill our listeners in, and then I'll start diving in because I reckon it gives everyone a bit of a snapshot. I love doing that with all the other boys as well, just to give them an insight of where they grew up and their family and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so grew up. I was the youngest of 6 kids. Old man was in hospitality, more so nightclubs and pubs actually. So and he had a very successful period through the 70s and 80s. I was the youngest of 6, obviously. So this is all before I was born, but. And then he lost everything in the 92 recession, my old man. So I, obviously as I grew up, I learned more and more about how that all happened, what interest rates and all that sort of stuff meant. And then I wasn't really keen on hospitality. As a young kid, all I liked doing was playing sport, footy and cricket. And then after school, I sort of pretended to go to uni, for a couple of years, failed miserably. And I was playing a bit of footy. And then I was actually a PT. And while I was a PT, I just fell into making coffees at footy grounds and all of that. And so from making coffee at footy grounds in like coffee carts and stuff, I sort of built up a portfolio of a few grounds, a few little athletics arenas, and then saved a small amount of money, like 30 grand, to open a cafe, which you just can't do now, obviously, with how expensive everything is. And then from there, just went from that, and then open about 40 venues now, but now a few pubs, restaurants, mostly cafes, and then obviously we're roasting coffee now, Inglewood Coffee Roasters, which is the big part of our business. Yeah,
unbelievable. Going back to making a coffee, is there a myth? People. I've had this chat to a lot of people. There's good coffees and there's bad coffees. What is the difference? Is it the love they're putting into it? Clearly, you've got great coffee beans, so. Talk to me about 2 things here: the love and the beans. What is it that makes a good coffee?
There's definitely a balance. I think a great barista can make with any reasonably roasted and reasonable green coffee. A really great barista can make a coffee sing. But it's really a balance. So really, quality green coffee. Obviously, the way you roast is very important, and roasting equipment's very important. So we roast in a Loring, which is state of the art. It's like the Rolls Royce of roasters. We only buy specialty coffee green, which is anything that's a cupping score over 82. And then obviously your baristas are very important. So adherence to recipes for the way you extract coffee. It's all really important. It's a balance of all. But if you were to source great coffee, roast it really well, and then you had a terrible barista who didn't know what they were doing, you could butcher it easily.
Yeah.
So really, the barista's really is the last piece of the puzzle. If the barista's no good, you're not going to get a good result pretty much with any coffee.
Yeah,
So
I've heard you talk about it's all about the process, right?
it's all about the process.
So when
yeah,
you're going
definitely.
through the process, and we'll talk about all these venues you have and pubs, but when you're employing a barista, is it just purely make me a coffee? How do you go through the process of employing them?
Oh, you obviously look at their experience stuff. We're not, again, like we love training people from the ground up. So we've got a coffee lab at Inglewood. So we do a lot of training for our wholesale accounts, sort of part of what we do. But yeah, obviously when they're on trial stuff, you chuck them in the deep and have a look. But it's not like, look, making coffee isn't hard to learn, like how to make a quality one cup. It's the repetition and high volume is where it gets tricky, like multitasking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Especially now with like things like how many alternative milks there are.
Oh, don't get me started, mate.
Bloody milks on one order. That's the stuff that gets hard.
Yeah. I think me and my old man always have a laugh with me mum because it's a painful order, mate. It's like,
Shocking.
Just get me a large,
shouldn't say that.
extra. No, you should. I think Damo, we had from Co & Co on early, and I think he
One
said,
of our great customers.
Yeah,
Thanks, Damo.
Yeah, he has your coffee and your beans, and I asked him, what's the weirdest order he had, and it was hilarious. So I'm going to ask you the same question. What's the weirdest coffee order you've received?
Oh, there's nothing that's I don't get surprised anymore, but the ones that really shit me when it's like a half, if it's a half, one milk, half the other milk. I've seen that a few times. That's just
Really?
absolutely
The combo
ridiculous.
milk?
About the combo milk. and obviously just things like dirty chais and things, I just can't have it. Like, yeah, which for those that don't know, it's half coffee, half chai. I mean, I don't know where people are coming across it.
Why is it called dirty?
Dirty chai, so it's chai, and then you're putting coffee in it, making it dirty.
Right.
So it's just no good. That stuff like that, stay home.
Yeah, I think he said he had a 5-shot latte or something like that.
Oh, there's multiple sugars as well. Get me the 5 sugars.
Yeah, there you go. You can see some strange cats coming through. Now, mate, you skipped over your sporting career. Can we talk about that quickly? Because the reason I draw a lot of inspiration from blokes like you, I do. We talk about our career, but there's the legends that play 300 and whatnot. But then there's life after footy, and to be honest,
I don't know if you're taking the piss here.
No, I'm not.
I'm not.
I want to know a little bit more about that, and then the transition steps. So just give everyone a bit more of an insight.
Oh, look, I was like any young sort of, sport lover or footy lover. I played a lot of footy and cricket growing up, and I was in all the sort of pathway stuff. And that obviously the dream was always to play a professional sport because I was no good at school and just didn't really have any. Just didn't know what I wanted to do for a long time, and I was going okay, like as a junior in both footy and cricket. And then on my first, so I was obviously so out of school I was 17. So I finished school I was 17. So I focused all my energies and efforts in my first year out of school. I'm playing TAC Cup, which is now the NAB League, is it?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Something like that.
Northern Knights for you?
No, Oakley Chargers.
Oakley Chargers.
And then I got super fit and thought I was like, gave myself every opportunity to launch. And I just had a shocking season and just didn't work out. I ended up getting dropped for the TAC Cup Grand Final, which was still cuts me deep and we're on the flag. So,
oh, wow.
So that's how bad it got. Like I just sort of probably did my head in. I probably went so nutcase and I was just a fanatic. For example, my skins are 150 in under 16s and they went down. I was 37. That's how fit I got. I just went nuts. It was probably good now because it probably taught me how to, for life, how important discipline and diet and everything is. Not just about sport, but I got really fit. So that's been the positive part of it. I know when I blow out what I need to do to get fit. But anyway, so that didn't work. I played VFL for a couple of years and played a year in the AFL Canberra, which is like the NEFL now, what was, I think became the NEFL. Which I really enjoyed. And that really helped me grow up, actually, moving away from home, met some lifelong friends who are my best mates now. But I played probably 3 years on a VFL list. I probably played 6 VFL reserves games. I was injured the whole time I played. I was on a VFL list, knee recos, back ops, whatever. But anyway, fast forward, I just didn't click. And I was really in La La Land. So, and my old man was just you got to get fair income here. I was 21 and just had just didn't have any clear path. Anyway, so doing my ACL at Box Hill sort of made me go, okay, I got to snap out of it. And then I just asked the general manager at Box Hill if I could make coffee. And that's, there's all these silly articles saying, career and injury. It's not true because I came back and played EFL footy for cash. and helped me at my first cafe. So, which was awesome. Again, East Ringwood Footy Club. I ended up becoming president there a couple of years ago. But so that all those. But I suppose all that shaped me. I mean, footy does. I just get a cringe about it because footy didn't define me. But it was just part of my. It was just part of me helping me find what I need to do. And it's funny, if you told me at 18 years old that I'd stop playing footy at 23, I would have laughed at you because I was so fanatical about football. But I stopped playing at 23 because I found my new passion. I just found my new thing and my new purpose. And I ended up wanting to make coffees on a Saturday at my cafe that was pumping, as opposed to kicking the footy and getting my dopamine kick out of kicking a goal. I was loving pouring 5 heart tulips in a latte. So it's just funny how life works. Yeah,
it does. And that's why I asked, because there's that sliding door moment. And like for you, it was, like you said, you've probably that ACL, long-term injury, what's next? Geez, but I probably need to start thinking about my future a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, the coffee. So talk to me about, let's go business mode now. This is where I could sit here all day and we probably will, but righto, so you're 20, 21, 22, 23 around there and you're making coffee at your own cafe that you've set up. What was the name of your first cafe?
It was called Annoying Brother Espresso.
Yep, and where was it located?
In Fitzroy North, 650 Nicholson Street. Sadly, I sold it only about 15 months after I started it, and it actually closed last year, I think. It went through about 3 or 4 different owners since I sold it. But that was where I sort of cut my teeth into being a business owner and being responsible for staff and paying bills and all that. So, yeah.
Talk to me about that, because we'll go from 1 to 40, and there's a big difference. I want to talk about scale later on. But the first one, talk to me about the mistakes, the learnings, the highs. Like, what were some of the things? Because there's a lot of people that listen to this stuff that's right in this age bracket. I look at the numbers, but our 18 to 36-year-old males predominantly listen to this podcast. So they're right in the sweet spot for this story. So kind of like, when they go out and start their own business, what were some things that you're like, wow, I wish I did that? Or,
I suppose the most important thing is you just got to do it, because a lot of people spend so much time procrastinating and talking themselves out of it. I think the biggest thing for me was just doing it. And I remember I had I had multiple moments where I cried. I was like, fuck, what am I doing? Like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm...
Is that because you're lonely on your own? Or?
Yeah, it was pretty. I was definitely lonely. That's definitely what I would say it was. I had a lot of help. I shouldn't look. So I'll be careful, because I had my wife, which was my girlfriend at the time. She was working full time and she'd help me on weekends. I had great help, but there were times that you were so lonely, and like having staff, it's like everything's on your shoulders. But I suppose just knowing that realization is that you need to make this work financially, or it falls over, and that people, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so much on your shoulders. So that self-preservation mode kicks in. You've really got to you find out where you're at with resilience. You know what I mean? Because you don't have nothing certain, and just being let down by people like staff, that happens in life. But staff, particularly in hospitality at that period, it was just like you have a lot of transient type people, and you just don't know if they're going to turn up to work. And I have no backup. So like, if one person doesn't turn up when you've got a small cafe, you're fucked. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, so that's and that happened a few times. So you got a full cafe and a chef's not rocking up.
Oh, wow.
I can't explain to you how that feels at 23. You feel like your whole world, you look back now, it's like, in hindsight, you're like, oh, the sun would have come up the next day. But those little things you really like, and my old man, my late father, he passed away last year, but he used to always say to me like, it's okay, you'll be okay. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'll be okay. It's like, I feel like this is it. Like,
Everything's so big in the moment when it's not. Don't sweat the small things is something my mum always says, and it's so true. Yeah. What about if the chef doesn't rock up though? Because I'm thinking solutions, right? Solution-based thinking. Now, the chef's an important person to be on a Saturday morning, because I want me chili scrambled or me, whatever I want. So I'm not coming in for just a coffee Saturday. I'm coming in for the feed. What happens there if the chef doesn't rock up?
Well, thankfully now we've got backup across multiple venues. But back then when it was like one venue, people just got to get their hands dirty and jump in there and make it up.
Behind there just doing your poached eggs and whatnot.
Well, I was never great at it, but I like pointing the pistols and asking other people to help. But that's all what you can do. You just got to get people to jump in there and have a crack. And then but then you learn quickly that you got to make sure that you don't put yourself in that position again. So, but it's hard, mate. That's the sort of stress. Like, I remember another one, like my second venue. I walked up one day on Queen's birthday weekend, and the whole joint was like underwater, probably 4 inches of water, and like a coffee machine boiler had blown up overnight. Like probably say 1 a.m. in the morning, right? It's just kept leaking all night, and you get in there, it's under. Like you're thinking. Like that again, you're like, oh my God, like what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I actually, surprisingly, I squeegeed all the water out of there by like 9 a.m. So we're able to open by 9 a.m. But just stuff like that, when it's all on you and it's your venue, the feeling is just so different. And I suppose for anyone want to open their own business, whatever it is, you got to ask yourself, are you willing to take on that stress? Because there are amazing moments, but there are a lot of moments you just like, you have those real self-doubt moments, but the self-preservation is probably what, it sort of makes you really like it. Yeah, you find out really quickly if you want to do it or not. And I realised that my the wins were worth it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the wins, and we'll stay on the first cafe and the second because we'll get to the. But no, you're right. But what was the wins? What was the like you said, you've got your purpose. But like, what was it? How do you grow your first cafe? Is it more coffees? Is it more, were you doing beans on the side then? I'd imagine you probably weren't.
I didn't start until 2017.
How do you grow it to the point where you're like, I'm going to get a second one?
Yeah.
And what would make you leave the venue with a big smile on your face?
Yeah, so it was 2012, 2017 we started roasting coffee, so it was a while before. But mate, the first cafe was tough. Like I made no money there. Like I was probably break even for the first 6 months. And then I reckon from 6 months to 9 months, I was probably making like $600 a week. So I was literally just paying. I was like literally working. Had a business as a
stimulated the economy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like it was just. But the thing is, the best things about it was it taught me my model. So everything I learned from my first cafe, the model hasn't changed from the back end. So the way everything looks from a financial perspective. So that was the biggest win I had out of it. All my learnings. The way I used to look after staff, all I knew was footy or team sports. So I lent on what a great coach taught me versus what a bad coach taught me not to do. And so that's sort of how I led my staff. It was a bit of a footy team mentality.
Give us a little bit.
Just like the fierce conversations you had, one-on-one as a team. Obviously, you can't blow up like. Well, I wish I probably did at the start, but probably learned to sort of get that out of my system now. But just that sort of stuff, like just learning how to have those conversations with people and like feedback, how important feedback is, and make sure that everyone was all together. How everyone was, making sure that everyone was galvanized as a team, and we had that common goal. It was just more sort of communication. How the people, putting your arm around. Some people like have their arm put around them and encourage, versus other people you probably rip a few a few layers off them. But that was the first cafe was really great learning. It only did for example, revenue wise, I think we did $8,000 a week revenue, so like 400 grand a year, which is you couldn't survive in a cafe doing those numbers now with how expensive everything is. So didn't make a lot of money, but I reckon I saved about 50 grand because I worked every day for probably 2 years. I think my first day off was I had a half day off of Cox Plate Day. I think 9 months in.
So you're there every single day for 2 years?
Open and close. I couldn't afford to not. Yeah. I literally couldn't afford to have.
That's the dedication people don't probably understand, do they? When they see how successful you are now, they wouldn't remember you or they probably don't understand that you've done so much dirty work, behind the scenes, and something like that is amazing. Yeah. Like every day for 2 years at a cafe that's not even making money at the start, that's crazy.
Yeah, I always talk about cleaning the toilets. I clean the toilets every day for 2 years, but I couldn't afford to have any staff open the venue, and I couldn't afford to have many to close it. So I call it dead time labour. Like if I didn't have sales coming through, then I couldn't afford to have staff there. So I cleaned the whole venue, I set up the whole venue every day on my own. Yeah. That's just how it was. But the thing is, that's sort of what I look back to now is sort of just a bit of a perspective thing. I just remember what I did to sort of be still in business now and open the venues that we've opened. So, but I couldn't have done it with a lot of great people. Obviously, having a lot of great support. My wife, my brother-in-law, who's our CFO. Nicky Campbell, exec chef, Tony Pantano. We've got a lot of great people. I've obviously got partners involved now. Many hands make light work. So, but in short though, mate, the first cafe was about learning the model, and then save a bit of money, and then put it all. Bet the farm again from number 2. And that's how we opened number 2.
Let's go through. So you bet the farm and you into 2, but now you've got 40. Can we just name a few venues, especially I guess your most popular, because people listening have probably been there and don't realise that they're yours, just so they can understand.
Yeah, so since sold about 20, 25, or maybe 20, a bit over 20 of them. So, but yeah, currently in the portfolio, some venues you might know, Mob in Camberwell, Hobson's Bay Hotel, Willie, Hotel Collingwood in Collingwood. And then we're about to open the Beehive Hotel in Hawthorn, which has been closed for like 15 years. It's been other venues in there, like restaurants. So we're going to rebirth that, which we're really looking forward to it. And then there's a few others around town, but yeah.
And they can go on your website and suss out the whole
only
list.
Hospitality Group. Yeah, you see all about our list of venues.
And then, what is the model, mate, with them? Are you trying to build them up, then sell them?
Look. No, like probably not. We're probably more so like to hold things now for cash flow. But if we have like a big project coming up and we want to take on a bit of debt, but then we want to also put some capital in, then we might sell a few just to get some capital in and then do the project half bank money, half our money. But like ideally, I'd like to hold all of them as long as they're all. So if I'm selling a couple, it's usually for capital or because they're a headache, and I'm just not passionate about the brand anymore.
Yep.
So before my old man passed away in December, we had a bit of a chat about my whole business, and I've worked with my old man for like 6 months. I realised we couldn't work together, but he's a great mentor. He was the best mentor ever. Obviously miss him a lot, and I just miss having the chats with him. He used to call me every day and ask me how every venue went. He'd want to know the takers at every venue. We used to get my our app out and tell him every venue, and we'd talk about the debt, all the debt I had, and he used to always be like, "Oh, be careful here," and he was just a good sounding board. But So it's just a deciding on debt, capital. Is it a headache? All those sort of things. But there's not one reason why I would sell a venue. Sometimes it's a wood duck off the street offering silly money. Yeah, and you go, oh shit, if we put this on the market, are we going to get this price? And then when you put something on the market, it can take up to 6 months to a year to sell. So you're like, if someone comes across and knocks on the door with a good offer, sometimes you just like, you got to consider it for that reason, because you don't want to wait when you are ready sometimes. So
yeah. Well said. And you've done so many now, and one thing I've seen with all these, your branding is so different and so cool. Every venue just looks amazing. You kind of have so much confidence opening a new one, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I definitely do have confidence opening venues now, probably because of the people we've got involved. And obviously knowing, experience helps a lot. Still get that the butterflies in the stomach, that nervous, like I'd imagine with, when you're walking down the race for an AFL game, you probably that buzz and that nervous, like the sort of the fear of failure, that probably still drive that's definitely there, and that's sort of like, but it's important, I think. And if you don't have that, that's probably an important ingredient for me. Like having that fear of failure is still there, definitely, and it's sort of something I use for a bit of something, just a bit of fuel, But definitely confident though. Social media helps. Having good people in marketing, and then our executive team is really great people, and really trust them with everything, and it's just fun going to work every day. I
love it. Let's talk about the team. How many people have you got underneath you? Like, how many in the business?
We had as many as 400, or a bit more than that, probably about 18 months ago. But I've sold a few venues in the last sort of 6 months. We're probably at about, I don't know, high 200s at the moment. We're trying to get more efficient, because labour is very expensive at the moment. So I'm trying to. Our revenue's probably not much different. So that just tells you sort of the strategy, what we're trying to do here is trying to keep revenue the same or grow revenue, but then have less amount of labour. So high 200s, I'd say, is the number.
Is artificial intelligence coming into it, or what?
That definitely helps, that sort of stuff. Yeah, particularly marketing and letter of offers, and it does help. Like, I suppose the corporate side of the business, the head office, I think they're using more and more AI. We're using offshore. Like we've had up to like 15 staff in Manila. So we're trying to figure out ways. So we've got a great crew in Manila that do a lot of our HR, accounting, finance, that sort of stuff, they've been awesome. They're super loyal people. They're on our screens in the office every day. But just finding ways like that, how to be smart with, because I know people are like, oh, you should be supporting the Australian working economy. But then I say, well, it allows us to pay people more in Australia.
Yeah.
offloading those roles to people remotely. So I think
and they're headache roles, like they're the kind of things you can put on a fact sheet and they can just answer phones and reply to emails
exactly.
and inquiries.
There's a right and wrong answer to it rather than it's open ended. It
doesn't require much brains. It's just literally inquiry.
Hope
and
that
then
people aren't listening, but yes, correct.
No, I know what you're talking about, though. I think we're looking into the same model.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, it works. Well, I mean, there's a reason why.
Not brains. I shouldn't say brains, but like you said, there's an answer on a sheet. So anyone.
It's a yes or no answer. There's it's not like there's a better way, or it's like
there's no solution to be. Yeah, there's no solutions to it. It's just literally like the boss has told you the answers, and you just need to wait for the inquiry or phone call to come in, and then tell them this.
There's a reason why, like every single big company, Qantas, Foxtel, whatever, Apple, they've all got offshore parts, like departments. So, I think you got to look at that.
100%. And then how would you break up all the staff? So how many execs, how many, in cafes, like how many, is it?
Our head office, so we probably have about 25 people at head office, made up of execs and others, office admin, all that. And then we've got probably about 25, 30 on the warehouse floor at Inglewood doing, we scale it up from 10 to 40 different times if there's a sale on and stuff like that. And that's their, roasting, picking, packing, logistics teams, delivery drivers, and then the rest would be in venue. Yeah. So made up of chefs, front of house, all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to the warehouse and roasting. You started that in 2017, you just said.
Yep.
Great move. Talk to me about that, the wholesale, then obviously the e-com boom. How many beans are you selling, to Damo Co, our great man at Co & Co, like those venues, and then online, is it 50-50?
No, so it's actually a pretty relevant topic because we just finished our end of financial year sale. Mate, I love the Inglewood's awesome. I'm so glad we started it. I was actually reluctant, to be honest. Corey, my business partner at Inglewood, was the person who sort of pushed me to do it.
Shout out to Corey.
Yeah, thanks, Corey.
Are you giving him full credit, are you?
I was out having a beer with
arguments back in the day. Corey's like, I love that you're saying that.
Exactly. But it's awesome. I love it, mate. It's just so good. I feel like it's a break in play for me from hospitality because hospitality is so hectic. The staff, we've got an amazing management level in the venues. The staff, they're like sort of part-time. It's hard because they're usually there because they're doing a uni degree and they're there for out. Exactly. So that's hard to manage their motivation levels. And then the customers are super tough, mate. Like we're getting ripped. Yeah, you wake up. I ban myself from looking at Google reviews, but it's very unfortunately people only review usually because they're unhappy, and the ones that love you, they vote with their feet, which is deflating. Well, no, not deflating. I want them to vote with their feet, but the reviews, seconds. I don't know if anyone's seen seconds reviews, but the seconds on Instagram, but they're doing a great job of it's recommendations only, not reviews. So look them up, Seconds AU. They're doing a great job.
So that's an Instagram account, is it?
Yeah, they're pumping. So they're taking over the whole thing of, as I said, recommendations, not reviews. So you shut up, you stay silent if you don't like it, but if you make a noise if you like it. So they're just trying to change it all, which I love. But back to Inglewood, we supply about 300 venues Australia-wide, but most excitingly, we supply about 70,000 homes around Australia. So
amazing.
So online's only 25%. 25% of our revenue is online, and the rest is wholesale. But like we did our end of the financial year sale.
They go off, don't they? The sales.
They do, mate. Yeah, we did 14,000 packages in the last month, which is like we're really excited about it, mate. So
amazing.
It's awesome to as I said.
Is that a record?
It is, yeah. I'll be able to say it. We did $700,000 online in the last 4 weeks, which is our record
let's
for a
get
month.
into the numbers. People do want. Yeah, sometimes I get nervous about asking them, but
So Inglewood does. So Inglewood, our Inglewood division does this financial year about 11 mil rev, and then and then online was about 2.5 mil online. So and up from like 1.9 last year. Up from 1.5 the year before. So online is really, it's a huge growth market for us. It's where we're putting a lot of focus. Wholesale's still our number one priority.
And online, where's most of your customers coming from?
All over Australia.
That's beautiful.
Like anywhere, like literally the most remote places. And the most remote places you make no money on because packaging, logistics, freight is so expensive. Yeah. But you'd rather have your coffee in their hands rather than someone else's.
They might buy 2 or 3 next time.
Exactly. Yeah. And you still want that brand awareness. So like I don't mind making a loss on the if it's in the centre of Australia, so be it. I just would rather have our coffee. And then obviously
international, sorry, as well, or just
we're doing international, not a heap though, but
mainly Australian.
But mainly Australian. And while I think for us to be really successful internationally, we've probably got to start roasting coffee internationally. It's just too expensive to ship coffee. We'll try and make it work. We're definitely doing international.
Yeah,
but it's
a stepping stone.
95% in Australia.
Yeah, love it. And what do you think it was this year? End of financial year sales there. We just did ours for RIXX as well, and we only do. I think we only do.
What percent off did you do?
We do up to 50%.
Yeah, cool.
So,
I think people love that. 50% is, if you can make the numbers work, if people see 50, that's what I feel like people just go, I'm in,
Yeah, the team do a great job. And then we did, we always like to do a gift with purchase as well. So those offers, so whether it's a hat, whether it's, this year we did custom RIXX playing cards, waterproof. Cool. The team does a great job at mixing up the new gifts, and we're always looking for ways to give the customers something because clearly we put a lot of time and energy into the sales. I think that one, then probably Black Friday is the biggest. I'd imagine the biggest for you guys as well. But that's now about 4 or 5 months away. So once you finish end of financial year sale, you'll start planning all the new stuff and getting ready for a big spring and summer.
I think that you agree that the planning of the year ahead and all your key dates is really important, which is something we didn't do probably in the first few years. But now, it's so programmed, that what you've got coming up, and you can actually build up the whole campaign to the date. But online, online is awesome because the only thing people worry about is getting it quickly. But there's no if you accidentally look at someone the wrong way in a cafe, mate, it's 1-star review the next day, and that's the most flattening thing. So that's why online it gets you so excited because I feel like the customers are so much happier.
Well, you're also not face to face and dealing with, you said, someone that's in a bad mood. Like, get me another, whatever. There's some people that can be harsh. Not everyone, but only need 1% every day.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that app that Instagram account. Just review instead of a review, just recommendations.
It's really
always cool, everyone always wants to pot and all that, but not enough love. And that's good. That one sounds like the model is just all love. We're just going to recommend.
It's really cool. They've been interviewing all the key hospitality people around Australia. So you definitely look it up, and it gives us that credibility that you sort of get the recommendations from people in the know. And then I think they're starting this app as well, where you have a top 10 and that's it. And so if you want to put someone else, if you want to recommend something else, you got to put it into your top 10. So I reckon that's going to be really cool. It's going to take over. I think Zomato's gone, and then Google reviews. Obviously, I just think Google reviews are so negative that it's just hard to separate the bullshit from the.
I know you get someone that hates you could just get on, or a competitor can just get on there and make 10.
That's happened to us heaps of times.
Yeah, you can just make 20 accounts if you want it or whatever.
I think that happens. That's rife.
And then, it's and you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
Back to the e-com space. And then the hospitality group. What's the rev? What do you do rev there? I'm trying to.
The group does about 50 mil. So Inglewood's 20% of it. Is that right? Yeah, 20% of it. So
there you go. So does it mean that you spend an 80% of your time on your hospital?
I spend most of my time on key accounts for wholesale for Inglewood, and then I look after all of our new venue openings. So I do everything from so if we buy the site, I do all the acquisition stuff, or if we're leasing, I do all the leasing. And then basically everything from design. So I sit on the design meetings, and then I roll out up until the handover to the builder, and then I take handover from the builder, and then I hand over to our exec team. So I'm part of that team. Yeah. So basically everything up until day one, I look after for the venues. But then I still obviously in the venues every day. And I speak to we've got 2 day GMs and then 2 night GMs, and then we've got a COO, Tony Pantano, who's a partner. So him and I sort of run the teams, and then. But yeah, so I'm mainly in the hospitality, but I still do all the key account stuff for Inglewood, sitting on all the marketing stuff.
Do you love the marketing stuff?
I love it, yeah. I love it. I wish I could do it all. I wish I could just spend all my time on that.
Yeah, it's real creative stuff, isn't it?
It is, and stuff like, obviously, this sort of stuff, getting views on social media, it may not always directly go into, funnel into sales, but it funnels into the brand awareness stuff. So I think that's really important. So we do all these little funny things in the warehouse floor. We asked a few of our staff, when was the last time you paid for a coffee, Monday to Friday? And it was funny to see their reaction. They're and they feel this guilt. It's I hope you appreciate that because it costs us money. So you just sort of just stuff like that. And it's actually pretty funny. We got good, really good amount of views on that. But just doing little funny stuff like that is really good. And but marketing's awesome. it's the most rewarding thing is seeing sales or traction, come from the marketing ideas.
Well,
There's nothing more rewarding.
End of financial year sale right now. What was the offer? What was the marketing team's strategy this year?
Well, so value propositions are so important, as you know, but like especially in this economy where cost of living is so high, for homeowners, interest rates are literally taking probably $1,000 a month out of their spending. So for us, it was all about value, and that's sort of what our thing. We're about accessibility and being affordable. So for us, it was 50% off on all coffee for a month, but then the last 3 days was 60% off a couple of our blends, and that was sort of the main value proposition. And then making sure that we got great coffee at a great price is always our thing. I think, as I said, speaking to the audience or speaking to the economy is really important. It's hard for people now with the way inflation is, and I think productivity is at an all-time low. I think people are doing a lot less for more money at the moment, I think, in this economy, and that is why everything is so expensive. I don't think it helps that people are working from home Monday and Friday. I think that's really causing the economy some issues, and I think it's absolute horseshit. And people to look me in the eye and tell me, "Oh yeah, I get more done at home." My ass, you do. There's not a chance in hell you are getting. There's not a chance in hell you are getting more done in your PJs.
Yeah, NBA finals on in the corner. A few phone calls.
You can't collaborate across your desk with your
I say this all the time. How good is a one-on-one where you're showing me? Let's say there's a new cafe and we're going to do it together, and you go, "I like this," and I go, "I like this," and then I show you. So you can get 10 things done in a minute. Look at this. I've got an example here. Where when you're on, I hate online. Like I hate it. Like, I can't even a phone call. When you're talking about creative stuff, it's especially when someone else might not be, you're struggling to kind of explain what's in your head. You just need to show them.
Exactly, yeah.
And you can't do that when they're at home.
I just don't like it. The other thing is what it's causing in the city. There's going to be so much hurt in the CBD over the next few months.
Really?
In hospitality particularly. Yeah, absolutely. Like Monday and Fridays, I know from our wholesale accounts, you can see they're still so far off, but in the CBD, in the suburbs are still really strong. It's definitely getting better.
So the suburbs are strong. It's more the CBD that's going, down.
Yeah, the CBD is still strong, like especially night venues. Like I still go really well in the CBD because people like making that trek at night. But the days are still dead. Like if you go, you could fire a cannon down some streets on a Monday and Friday in the city because so people are taking, and smartly they're taking their Monday and Friday as their working from home day, so they got their long weekend.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Sunday beers.
That's it. Thursday nights in the pub is now the new Friday.
Oh, it's pumping.
Well, yeah. So you tell me that you're working from home and working well on Friday. Well, I can tell you people are drinking more piss on Thursday night. So.
Yeah, you can tell me the answers. Yeah,
exactly.
Which pubs so we can really identify these people.
Well, Hotel Collingwood. So that's the Hotel Collingwood. Like, so that's the creative hub of Victoria. Like, there's so many. Techies, and there's graphic design, interior design, architects. There's a lot of that in Collingwood. And Thursday nights is busiest there. So, Fridays are so much behind
Really?
Yeah. So
Thursdays are pumping, Fridays low.
Fridays are less than Thursdays now. So
wow.
Yeah. So Thursday is the Friday night beers is Thursday night beers now. So
that's crazy.
That's almost like give me a spell that you're working hard on a Friday. So anyway, I just think that's gonna have to level up. I think 18-year-olds leaving school, it'll definitely go back to normal, I think, because if you're onboarding an 18-year-old now in a corporate sector, you're not letting them work from home. If you're first year of school and you're getting your first job at PwC or whatever, there's no way in hell they're going to let an 18-year-old kid work from home. Obviously, they go to uni for PwC, but I think everyone gets that point that I think the new onboards now are going to be told to come back to the office.
Yeah.
And eventually that'll start to be the norm.
As time goes,
it'll take time still though. But Melbourne is the worst. We're the worst CBD still in Australia.
We did cop it the worst though, didn't we?
We did cop the worst. That's the thing. Yeah. Well, that's exactly.
Let's talk about that actually. But was that really hard for you?
We had a strong COVID period. I didn't enjoy it from a personal level, but we had a lot of we had a good run because online was so strong. And then all takeaway coffee was so strong. And for Inglewood, because everyone was having takeaway coffee, our volumes skyrocketed because, takeaway coffee, usually you use double the amount of volume per takeaway coffee as opposed to a have-in latte.
Explain that to me.
So if you look at a coffee machine, you see the two spouts.
Yeah.
In a takeaway coffees are, usually 8 ounce and 12 ounce, right? And a have-in is usually 5 ounce. So having coffee, use one side of the spout.
Gotcha.
But a takeaway coffee, use both in the takeaway cup.
Yeah,
So
right.
using double the amount of volume. So during COVID, obviously volumes went up. Some of our venues definitely struggled, but the good outweighed the bad. But it was difficult from a personal, anyone. It was just draining, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the whole you felt trapped, but financially we had a good it helped us. I think we went from 8 to 25 venues in COVID, you know. So I went into COVID with 8 venues, came out with 25, maybe even more. And then, but we've sold a couple off now. But so it was okay from that perspective, but it just wasn't a nice time, was it?
Yeah,
Tommy?
no, it wasn't. No, it's good that you guys weren't hit too hard.
We're lucky,
a lot of people, a lot of people were. But did you find that people then just hit you with pace once they were allowed out because they just wanted to catch up with their friends in person, no more of this digital shit, you know?
It was hard. Yeah, that was hard to scale the staffing, and no one wanted to work because everyone was getting the job keep and all that crap.
Yeah.
Or whatever that was. So that was hard to scale, but everyone went through it. It was hard. Yeah, it was hard, no doubt. But I felt like whilst it was hard, customers were also realistic, I think, at some point. So that, they were like, oh, whatever, I'm just happy to be out. And everyone knew that service was going to be a bit off for the first little bit. But yeah, we're getting so talent. The numbers, finding staff now is much easier. Talent and work ethic is not as what it was pre-pandemic. People are a lot more precious. People know how to call in sick now. So we have a really strict system on how people the process of if you call in sick, and then.
What about if you chip your tooth the night before? What would you say?
You can't
be serving coffees with a chipped tooth. The front tooth. The big choppers are a bit banged up here.
You're not kidding yourself. It looks absolutely fine. You can't tell. You cannot tell.
We can leave it in the YouTube if you think. I think it'll.
I definitely think leave it in, please. It'll be awkward if you didn't. And it's fun anyway. Leave it in.
Yeah, leave it in. It'll be.
You can't tell though. I promise you. It looks fine.
I'm getting it stitched sorted to the Savo. But say someone did. Hey, boss. I've chipped my tooth in the shower, brushing my teeth, because that's what happened here with the filling. I can't come in, I can't serve coffees and look these people in the eye. I need tomorrow off to go to the dentist. What would you say to that?
Oh, son, get your ass to work, son. That is not a good enough reason. Absolutely not.
I'm being honest.
We've had some shocking reasons, though. In all seriousness.
Give me the best.
Oh, I can't. I always say,
my best was school, right? I used to, I used to love a day off school. And my mum would be all over me. But if I said I had diarrhea, she wouldn't go near me. And I just used to roll the diarrhea out once every 3 months. So that one would work a treat, wouldn't it? Or do you need
what are you going to do there? If you say gastro, what are you meant to say? That's dangerous.
You'd go gastro, diarrhea, same
I shouldn't be saying this now. I'm giving people a bloody good excuse.
Well, you need a certificate, right, from the doctor?
Yeah. We certificate all sick calls. So you've got to make it difficult because obviously young workforce from the retail side of things. And you can really see the Mondays are the biggest, Sundays for the retail staff and Mondays for the corporate. But thankfully, we have a very, very, our engagement is very high, so we don't have many sick calls. But we had a lot of sick calls last financial year, which was coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
Because I felt like COVID taught everyone how to call in sick because, you have to isolate and if you have a sniffle, stay home.
Yeah. Just any excuse and you kind of have to just wear it.
Exactly. Whereas now it's like, no, we're getting back to normal now. So if you have a bit of a sniffle, you come to work,
But all workplaces, you love being there when it's good. And it sounds like, yours is a very fun place and everyone loves rocking up. So it's, there's two different things, isn't there?
Exactly. I want everyone to want to be there, and that's the thing. Thankfully, we've got a great culture, and the people, everyone wants to be there, and everyone's really close in our team. So that helps. It's just more so, the cheeky ones. Sometimes you got to pull them up, but it's all standard. I think it's any workforce, but it's good. It's all good.
Back to business, can you give me rough numbers on scale? So over the years, when did you go from you obviously 0 to 50 mil and 0 to 11 mil in those two different businesses? But where was the year that just went bang? And then what did you have to do as the founder and leader to get the right people in? Because that's something that a lot of people, when they scale, it's a different beast. So what kind of mentors did you have? Love to talk to you about that.
Yeah, it was coming out of COVID. We went. When it probably.
So COVID was the one that went bang.
After COVID, probably. Yeah. Oh, before COVID it was good, but I think it was during COVID we had some really strong results, and then online, and then some of our takeaway went really, really well. But coming out of COVID, that huge tailwind, that first 12 months was when it really went
gangbusters.
Yeah. So we had to scale up the team, a fair bit. We probably got ahead of ourselves though. We probably put too many on, which was a really good learning. But what happened? The mistake I made was probably that I put too many layers in, and then what happens is you lost accountability. Do you know what I mean from the individuals? On each
the
level.
layers, talk to me about the roles, just so people that
So
listening.
we ended up having like a person who was head of tech, so looking after all of our venues, technology, and then we ended up having we had 3 people in functions, we had 10 people in marketing, all this, and it was like, and then we had 2 people in HR, and then HR, for example, there might be issues, and then it was like who was accountable for it, and it was like. Oh, it was like, the old if it is to be, it's up to me. Hearing from footy coaches and stuff. Yeah, you got to, have a crack on it. It's on you as well, to not be that weak link. That was becoming, we were losing a lot of that
accountability.
Yeah, that was the biggest mistake I made.
Because you didn't know you didn't know who was responsible because there's 10 in a unit.
Yeah, and everyone was sort of probably just being like, it was the easy way out for people to say, oh, I thought they were. So I made that but one thing I was sort of proud of is that I identified that when I did identify it, I was really aggressive in making the changes. So I reckon we cut about 10 people from our head office. Not to be negative, but yeah. So we basically any resignation we had, I didn't replace for like a good 12-month period, and we just scale down, and then our revenue didn't really change. So. And what happened is we spoke before about the whole productivity thing. I'm just trying to make people more productive.
More efficient.
More efficient, exactly. More efficient. You've got to be more efficient. And that's the thing. Like I'm trying to play my part in the economy, make the economy better.
And you're also paying 10 people's salaries, and they're not. And if you you can pay,
exactly.
Let's say you're paying 20 salaries, and now you're paying 10, and they're getting the same productivity. Well, that's just showing you that you made the right decision.
Yeah, and as well, like people got pay rises because people do more. Like I said, stuff like that. So as a business, I'm trying to do my bit of the economy and making sure that people are efficient, productive, and all that, and that means we can look after our staff better. Like I feel like if you walk away from work and you have that sense of fulfillment and your job satisfaction, it's only going to make you better. And I feel like people were doing so little at some points post COVID that that wasn't there, and without people realising, it probably made them more unhappy. So yeah,
and now it's thriving, as like you said, which is great. So talk to me about the part. What cafe number was it for you? You go from 1 to 2. Like it's a big leap to go 3, 4, 5. Like, and then obviously not just cafes, pubs. Like, how did you get your head around it? How much risk did you take? Just for those out there that are in other businesses and they might be looking into something similar.
Yeah, the biggest risk I took was my second venue. I took on $740,000 debt, and I was only 23. It was because I knocked on the door of a venue and they. We're about to go broke, and they basically said you can have 50% for nothing, but you're going to become a signatory for this loan, and I did it. I can't believe I did it. Like if I look back now, having 2 kids, and a home and all that, I probably wouldn't have taken that risk. But it's funny when you're 23, 22, you should take that risk because you got nothing.
Yeah,
and if it all goes belly up, you got nothing to lose. So that was the biggest risk. That was the big moment for me that taking that debt on because that venue was losing about $200,000 a year, and then. When I took over, it started my first year. And I think it profited over $700,000 my first year. Yeah, so that was sort of the big turning point for me.
Why did it profit $700 compared to the other one that was only just going for 6 months?
Oh, just because I just
bigger venue, gave it more.
I gave it a lick of paint. That was run by people who didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
But it was in the best location.
What location was it?
It was at Mob Campbell. I've still got it now.
Yeah.
And that was the one that sort of went bang. And I ended up buying those partners out a few years later, which still great people and all that, but it was just time. Like they were in their 70s and 60s, and it was just time for me to take over. And they were really good at facilitating that. But I suppose, liquor paint, new identity, new branding, new everything. Like it presented like a completely different venue.
And everyone in town would be so like, whoa, let's go to the new cafe. Yeah.
Something little, chuck the music right up and make it a pump and make it really young, exciting vibe. That helped. Good food, good coffee, good atmosphere was sort of the whole vibe of it. And then that allowed me to go to have a crack. That cash flow sort of gave me sort of the tools I need to keep going. But it's probably about the 5th or 6th venue is when was when it allowed me to start making some more decisions for long term. So Inglewood, when we had about 400 kilos a week of volume to roast, when we started roasting, it was already cash flow positive. So that was sort of 5 or 6 venues is when I sort of felt like, okay, we had something to really work with here to be able to scale. Obviously, there's been a lot of copycats and stuff like that. Like, it's not rocket science, like, what is hard is having a good back end and be profitable and sustainable. But a lot of people started doing smashed avo and coffee and, hot cakes and a lot of menus around Melbourne, which I think everyone, if anyone's listening, they'd probably agree that a lot of cafes have become, cookie cutter now. So that's probably why we started going into pubs a bit, in that pubs, you can't replicate pubs. You got to buy them, and you, there's very few pub licenses, new pub licenses now. So it's got to be a pub existing. So that's really why we went into that space. I felt like we were able to have unique proposition again, or maybe not unique, but it can't be replicated 100 times over. Like, every shop front in Victoria is becoming a cafe. And that's why we went to the pub line. I really enjoy being the pubs.
It's a great pivot, isn't it? You've gone cafes, beans, and then, let's go pubs, and then, beers, and it's a real sense of community as well.
And the party, I love making our venues like a party, like a fun vibe.
Celebration.
Yeah, exactly. And people really, I like making people feel something as soon as they walk in our venue. And pubs have been really fun. I feel like that's really sort of excited everyone in our business. Just give us a new sort of.
Can we talk about Hotel Collingwood like that? Because I've been there and it's amazing, and it's and I know that. How long has that been around for?
We took over that in 2021 as Rob Burns Hotel, and we just turned into Hotel Collingwood.
Yeah, so I don't remember what it was beforehand, because I think I only just got back to Vic around that time, but. You've done it up. So just talk to me about that one, right? So what would something like that cost? Do you have to you're buying it outright from the owners?
So we only just bought the building, so that's about to settle. But we had a 25-year lease.
Yeah.
So we own the business, about to own the building, but we just bought the business, and I think we bought the business for like $315,000, so not a lot. And then we spent about another $500 on doing it all up.
Yep.
So that's.
And how long did that take?
The renos only took about 8 weeks.
8 weeks on renos. That's pretty quick, right?
Yeah, we try to do all of our sort of builds in under 8 weeks. So shout out to by Underwood. They do a really good job with our design and construct. They've been doing all of our stuff for probably close to 10 years now, nice. I reckon. They're awesome. They're very, very efficient. Ryan Underwood does it runs a tight ship. But it's about 8 weeks. And then we opened in lockdown as takeaway only. And it went like wild because in Yarra, the city of Yarra, you can drink. It's not a dry zone, so people could come in and get their takeaway beer or cocktail, and the whole footpath was like covered. Was just full of people.
You drink on the street.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And mate, I reckon 5 cop cars came down. And I've never been so scared in my life.
Yeah, because you just got the liquor license, right?
Yeah. Everything is like, what are you doing? I'm like, hey, I'm allowed to be open. I can't. This is good that we're busy.
Yeah,
it was really what we got.
And what do they say? What do the cops say there?
Not really like, Jesus I was over the top. Yeah, it wasn't ideal. The way I was approached by the. I understand they have to do their job, but like. The only thing we were doing wrong was that we were busy. Well, and I was like, how are we doing anything wrong?
1.5 meters, that was the only thing they were like, there's too many people here.
Exactly, yeah, because we just opened. So we're in lockdown, there's not much going on, and we're just opening this new venue. So like it was something exciting for the area. And it was funny how everyone just sort of dispersed as soon as all the cops arrived. I was pretty annoyed at that though, because we're just trying to have a crack. We're in lockdown. But that was cool. That was really cool to open with that sort of bang. And but anyway, so that's been really good for us. That was my first pub. My ultimate goal is to buy a pub that my dad once owned, which I've come close to doing a couple of times, hasn't eventuated. But what
was your old man's favourite pub?
He used to own some crackers. So he used to own like the College Lawn in Greville Street.
Yeah.
He owned the Albert Park Hotel.
APH, wow, that's some great venues.
Yeah, he had some awesome venues. If there's any older listeners, he used to own the Underground, which was the biggest nightclub in the Southern Hemisphere, which is on King Street. I think it's Centrefold now. You would know what Centrefold is, Tommy. Oh yeah, you wouldn't know your way around there, would you, Tommy?
I've never been in my life.
Anyway, so
a lot of our listeners would know exactly what that is, and they'd know we've both been there.
Oh shit!
That's great. That's exciting. That really is.
So that's what I really want to do. So actually, he used to own the old Edward Tavern ETs on High Street, which is now the Smith. And I actually had heads of agreement signed on that, and it fell over, which I'm livid about. But
this is because a lot of people. What did college lawn cost to buy? Like, how do you? Like, what's
just the lease? Just the business. Yeah. Oh, now. Yeah. I mean, God knows how much.
How much roughly?
I don't know. I reckon business. Okay, so let's say business freehold. I would have thought 30 mil. Business and freehold, I reckon.
Yeah, that's.
But we weren't buying that. Like, I'm just saying. But like, my dad lost that in the when he lost it all. And you know he's from the Red Eagle in South Melbourne, which is now called the Vincent, I think. Yeah, so sure. He lost that. That'd be worth like 100 mil now. Wow. Yeah, so he lost everything.
What with APH? Because they're just
AVC. AVC own all that. Oh, AVC own they don't own that. Vincent. They own that's Colonial. But yeah, so AVC own College Lawn though. But like, yeah, that's big money. So those pub freehold businesses, like AVC, that's why AVC are doing so well, mate. They've got so much.
So many venues.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
How many? So how long till you reckon you'll buy one of them? You know.
Oh, mate.
Do you have to just keep stacking cash on the side to go?
Well, so yeah, something like that. I just do lease. Maybe. But like some of that, you know, you just try to get the leasehold first. I don't need to own the freehold. Really, owning the property. They're so capital intensive. Like, I mean, unless it stacks up. Like buying Hotel Collingwood, that's the freehold. Which is capital intensive.
What would something like that cost, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh, that's right. We bought the building for 3.8. It's going to be, I think it's public knowledge now. Yeah, so we bought that for 3.8. I just bought actually the old Ra Bar? I don't know if you know. It's next to the South Yarra Station. Just bought that for 3.8, and we're going to do a pub bar there.
Mint.
Yeah, 3.8 is the number at the moment. Yeah, so that's exciting. So I'm trying to dip our toes into that. Into buying the freeholds. But like when you start going to those big pubs, like the Auburn Hotel or something, they're worth like, 50, 60. So hopefully one day we're at that level. You know, it's all part of the hopes. Yeah, I mean, I hope we're on that track. But it's crazy. It is crazy, man. The pub sector from a commercial property perspective is the strongest. That and industrial are the strongest markets. Pubs are really strong because, as I said, you can't replicate them. Industrial is really strong because of e-commerce, because us e-commerce brands need industrial spaces to pack, to pick and pack and
store.
Exactly. So that's why, because everything's going so online heavy. That's industrial used to be sold on 7-8% yields. Now industrial sales are like 4% yields, which is crazy. So it's because they're so strong. Like you've got all the big brands using industrial spaces now, and now main drag properties are going down because people don't need them anymore. So. It's funny how the world works, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just nothing's forever. So you got to keep moving, yeah.
And then give us I'm just fascinated by Hotel Collingwood and obviously the pub sector. But what would it look like rev wise, yearly and weekly?
Oh, we're doing about 3.5 mil rev, so it's not a big pub. It's 70 grand a week. A venue like that would you'd try to profit about 500 grand a year. So that's sort of how the pub like that. That's only that Hotel Collingwood's a small pub, so it's not a big. But it's a really nice. It was a great for us. It was a great first pub to do. But like you can get pubs that like to, 500-600 grand a week.
Yeah, wow. What's the most profitable item beer?
I think you'd have to say most profitable would be like your first pours, your vodkas and all that would probably be most profitable. Beer's getting expensive, like it just goes up. They're going up. It's every 6 months. It feels at the moment.
That,
So
I think someone told me it's great that you're doing well. Like, I think it was Bendigo or something. They said 12 pubs are shutting down. They reckon because they just can't get staff out there and whatnot. Really? And beer prices. I believe that because there's a lot of pubs in towns like that, in those regional towns, and there's not as many people to support them. Yeah, and they reckon to be profitable, they need to literally sell beer at like $16 just to be able to get the staff because the staff because on the weekends it's so expensive. Yeah, it's true. You've got like pints now should be over $15, and it's getting expensive. It's expensive to live, but we're looking at a pub right now. We're really close to closing a deal on a pub in Belgrave. And Belgrave, people are like, oh, that's arse end, but it's not. Like Belgrave's median house price, 1.4 mil or whatever it is, and big land holdings. People have got money, and it's not cluttered with hospitality venues. So I think it's only half an hour from the CBD. So it's how much prep goes into that like you're going through a lot of obviously what the median price is in the area and whatnot. Yep. But it's a huge decision, isn't it, to pull the trigger? It is, yeah. So we go through. So median house price, you have a look at owner-occupier homes versus rented homes, because I feel like you want to be in areas where there's owner-occupier homes, I reckon. Only because the cost of living and rents are so high at the moment that people are going, oh, well, how am I going to ever save for my house one day if I keep spending like this? Whereas homeowners usually you'd like to think they're usually more sort of in their
on their the path that they're on forever, like, paying their mortgage.
Yeah.
I just feel they're more. It used to be that renters have more disposable income.
Yes.
I reckon it's sort of not like that at the moment.
Now the people that are just cruising, got their house, they're keen to go to the pub that night and have a beer and a steak pub.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just hard, but I think I prefer to be home owned, not densely populated with other hospitality venues is important, and then proximity to the CBD and main arterial roads is really important for me. And then public transport, things like that. So, and then density per square kilometre. Always look at density per square kilometre, so how many people there are in the area. Yeah, so just all the balance
more
of that. More people, less options. More people, less options. And then obviously, and looking at the home, the median house price graph, how it looks, if it's going up. Yeah. I think that's always a really good indicator as well, where you want to go.
Yeah, love it. You'd be good in childcare and all that as well. I've got a mate that sounds a similar model. That's what they look for. They look for stuff like that.
Yeah, childcare is a good industry. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely recession-proof, isn't it? Yeah. It's but I think they have the squeeze. They're getting the squeeze as well, and because of how expensive it is to build and things like that. Like new childcares can't get any developments to stack up now because construction's so expensive. But yeah, childcare is a good sector. I've got a couple of mates in there in that industry as well, and I think they've had a pretty good ride the last 10 years. So,
mate, what's next? What's next for you? You've obviously, do you ever feel that how do I word this? But it's full on what you're doing. It's grow. Like, do you have a holiday every year, which then rejuvenates you to go back to the well? What's your plan moving forward?
What's next for? I think our South Yarra site, 163 Track Road, the old Raba. That's our project for the next 12 months. We're trying to get that open within 12 months, and then the one in Belgrave, got that coming on, and then obviously Beehive Hotel in Hawthorn. So they're our sort of priorities at the moment. We're always looking, but they're sort of what's in our pipeline, and then obviously Inglewood's a real big priority in our current portfolio. In terms of holidays, I'm trying to take a bit of a break once a year, and then little breaks in 2 night away here and there. But just try. I get bored though. I don't really. Every time I go away, I'm still working. I love it.
How do you go sleeping?
That's why I try not to have more. I try not to have more than 2 coffees a day now, which I probably drink more coffee. But
you love me. I've got no rule, but I don't know if it probably does affect my sleep.
If I have more than 2 coffees, I literally do all my thinking in bed, and it's so frustrating. So I try not to. I shouldn't say 2 coffees. I have only 4 shots of coffee. So if I have 2 doubles, that's it.
I pull back from the doubles so I could have more.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm trying that too.
Single shot man now.
Yeah. There you go. So I just don't want to be. I hate when I lie in bed and I just can't sleep. But I do. Yeah. I find I'm doing all my thinking when I'm in quiet time. So
in the shower.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then that's obviously before bed, and then
driving.
Driving. Just when you're on your line, want to go for a run.
Yeah.
Probably when I'm just away from my phone and away from people, and you're kind of in your
phones are bloody hard to get off. Such a track.
They are. It's something that I'm very bad at, but it's I use it like a laptop. I literally you can do everything on a phone versus laptop.
Do you have a laptop?
I do, but I just find everything just so much easier on the phone.
I'm the same.
Yeah,
I only got my first laptop 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I was everything from my phone, which is crazy.
It's amazing. It's a lot of people
at our fingertips now. So.
Everyone loves an email. I love a call. Get more done.
I like it. Yeah.
It's good stuff. What about the other question I had for you was, so I'm actually very passionate about, not a lot of people would probably know this, but when I was at Freo, I was a bit like you. We had to do something off field. So at school, I slept in my exams. Got told I was going to go first round the next week. So I just thought, how good am I going?
Yeah.
But I've soon found out that was a mistake, and I didn't have a good enough score to get into uni. So I had to do all these courses. And when we got to Freo, they were massive on off-field development. And so I went through the off-field, courses. Got into uni eventually, and it just showed you how important.
What did you study?
E-commerce. And but I just I just ticked I didn't really know what to do. And then anyway, so going through that.
Have you found that helpful for what you're doing now?
No, because I dropped out pretty quickly. Oh, okay. But I did because of RIXX started because of it.
Yeah, cool.
And anyway, so I dropped out after we were doing the marketing unit, and I was really excited, and it was just magazines and outdated, and it wasn't really stimulating me, and I just felt like I was ticking the box. And that's when I started RIXX with my business partner, Colin. That's how the kind of whole story started. And I said, let's just do this full time. So that became my off-field development. Anyway, before that, when I dropped out of uni, you have to do something outside. And so I actually, before uni, while I was getting in, I worked at the Swan Brewery, which is a massive, it's a massive brewery in WA.
How long was that?
I'm not sure, but I'm not even know if it's still there, but it was the biggest steakhouse in town. And man, I'm in the kitchen with the full kit on. Like I did 10 weeks of cooking in the kitchen once a week. So like that was my off-field thing. And I've always been fascinated with food and hospitality and especially cafes. I've had an idea from the start, which I'll share with you now. Just wanted to give you the backstory of like, I've always been obsessed with this idea of, especially when I was playing at Freo, we used to go to the same cafe.
Which was?
Shout out to Gesher, which was one on the way. But like I used to talk to Dan there. He's a great man. And just to love, like, you know, I'd look at his menu and go, mate, why haven't you got an acai bowl? And he'd be like, yeah, mate, the chef, you know, he likes this and we've got to keep him happy and whatever, or whatever it was. But I was just fascinated with the menu. Obviously, the coffee was always great, location, and also people. Like, I always thought, what about if everyone just had 5%, like 10 teammates? We all named the menu. The menu was after our nicknames and that was the food. And anyway, my point of this was, how does people like myself get involved in a cafe for a small percentage? So if there was a group of us that wanted to come to you with an idea, hey mate, here's some cash, here's some investors, we'll pump it, we've got great networks. Is that something that you get offered a lot?
Yeah, it is. And I would say I actually spoke to a couple of the Hawthorn boys recently who are interested in opening a cafe. And I just said, my advice was until you can commit to it properly, like so life after footy, I said there's better place to park your money at the moment because it's just hard. The margins in cafes right now are not what they were 5 years ago. So there will be better times ahead. But right now, labour's too high, cost of goods are too high, utilities are too high, and there's too many things from the government that need to be sorted out, e.g. payroll tax, which you don't want to get me started on that because we won't stop. Anyway, but I would say park your money elsewhere for now, only because it's just too risky. So unless you can work in a cafe and do it yourself to start with, it's I just under management. They're just unless you know what you do. Like this is what I do every day. So we're still an operator. Even though I'm not there every day, I still know how they all should run. I probably wouldn't say cafes is where you want to be parking your money at the minute. I just think it's a sit and wait for the next 12 months until things get better. But like if I was someone like yourself who wants to get involved in a cafe one day, I would find someone who works in a venue who is actually going to be there and drive it. There's a couple of Collingwood boys involved in Whiplash in Hawthorn. I think the bloke who runs it, I think his name is Jordan. Anyway, he runs it and the boys are behind him. They obviously invested in it. But at least they've got the one partner who's on the ground. So I'd find that sort of scenario. The last thing anyone should be doing is getting a group of 5 mates, chucking money for a cafe and just thinking it's going to be set and forget and you chuck whoever in there to make money. It just doesn't happen.
No, I agree. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. So like, would you ever open a new cafe and have blokes come to you and invest in that one? Or you're like, nah, we just want to run it ourselves?
Yeah, probably won't run ourselves. But I do it, like Cirque says, like say if I was doing a big, I'll probably do it for a cafe, but if it was like for a big pub. Yeah.
It was so maybe it's a pub opportunity. Now that we've just discussed that, so now the cafe idea, not making as much coin, pubs are the one.
Yeah, I think pubs, like for example, the Ascot Vale Hotel boys, I think have gotten a couple of footy blokes involved.
Yeah, I think Libba's involved. The Doggy boys are involved in that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that some of that works well because, footballers and pubs, local area, I think it's all like relevant and it's good mark until they come in for, I think once Libba's said something on with BT once on a Friday night. I can't remember what he said.
Free beers or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then the next day they got pumped. Because there's this or that. There's like I see the synergies.
Yeah.
So I think, and as well, like pubs are more expensive. So capital wise, they're more expensive to get going. There's better upside of them, but they are very capital intensive. So I would say if there's someone wants to create a syndicate, I would say look more to the pub market for now, because the top end revenue in pubs is still very profitable. Low end, not profitable. But I just think cafes in the next 12 months are funny. I don't think Melbourne needs more cafes at the moment.
Yeah,
I think the government needs to sort out how they can support small business better at the moment because there are people closing left, right, centre at the minute. And it's pretty sad,
Yeah,
it's people's livelihood. And then also staff aren't getting paid their super. All the suppliers are getting left in the dark. We're strictly 7-day terms at Inglewood, and I'm proud to be that way. It pisses people off, but The last thing we would ever want, I think it's irresponsible for suppliers. I think they can do 30 days end of month at the moment with the way the landscape is. I think you're just asking for trouble. So I'm trying to do my best to make sure people are accountable, and hopefully everyone just does their bit. But yeah, I just would be very careful putting money into a cafe right now.
Yeah, well said. Speaking of investment advice, what do you do with all your coin? Do you love property? Are you in the stocks? What do you like to invest in?
I had a bit of fun with stocks at one point. I had a bit of a win on Afterpay. I was one of those retail investors.
Really?
And then I got taught a new lesson because whatever I got made on that, I lost it all because I thought I was Jordan Belfort. Then I chucked all the winnings into this stock called DOU, D-O-U, and I lost it all in like 2 days. So that was my short-lived stock career. But geez, that's the best way to get taught a lesson is to go hard, have a win, and then chuck it all on something that tanks.
How come you always win on your first go? I reckon the first one was the casino, I won. First time on the bloody quaddie, won. First time on anything, you win.
Footy multi?
Yeah, multi win. Now you can't get near it.
I cannot get near a multi.
We was having a chat the other day. I think it was Charlie Cameron. I said, I got a good feeling about him. Mate, he kicked two in the first quarter. I was texting going, mate, I told you. Then he didn't kick another one.
Unbelievable. I was on it too. But
we both said 4.
I do like property. I do like property. It's like commercial property. I still reckon there's really good opportunities in luxury townhouse type offerings. So I'm doing a little bit of stuff like that on the side. I just like property because although it's a slow burn, it doesn't have a lot of the people management aspect is lower, which is nice because like I deal with so many people every day, which I love. I love people inside in hospitality, but I do like having the diversification part. I want to be different to what I'm like, different in terms of the way it operates as well. So yeah, I do like property. I've invested in a couple of little like tech startup things, which see what happens. Like which they're sort of one of those things where you just like hope they go well. Yeah. They're always a bit like they're just straight out punts. And I like investing in some multis. Just
to keep the brain busy on a Sunday night.
It's just not necessary. But yeah, I think property's always good, mate. I think it's always a really, really good place to park money is freehold investments. I think stay away from apartments. If any young listeners out there, I've got some staff who look at buying apartments, and I always tell them, look elsewhere because they are just no good, I reckon. There's like the capital growth in apartments are just not there. They might yield you some, rental income, but they're no good, in my opinion. So sorry for all the apartment developers out there, but I'm not your guy.
There you go. I've just got a message here from our great mate, Willie Johnson, and he sent some funny stuff in. But so I'm just trying to dissect this as we go through the late mail.
Here we go.
It's good, some good stuff.
Is that Willie Johnson who played one AFL game for St Kilda?
It is actually.
He got. So Richie Tambling knocked him out. Richie Tambling got 1 week, and Willie Johnson got life. He was never seen again in an AFL. Never seen again in an AFL. He got life.
Oh, that is good. Well, there you go. He's got some other. How he grew a nose that big. It's very impressive. Ask him about that. That's the first one I saw.
Thank you. Yeah, good.
Golf related. Is he a genuine 10 handicapper? Ask him about his golf antics, how irrational and erratic he is, how aggressive he gets. Just ask him about it.
I am a bit of an angry golfer.
Are you?
I hope my golf clubs aren't listening. It's just golf is the most frustrating sport ever because you feel like just so good when you hit a good shot. And it brings you back down to earth so quickly.
It's a bit like that stocks, right?
It is exactly, it is the same.
You're on top of the world, then you lose it all.
The mental roller coaster. And I'm not going to lie, Willie J he wins a lot more than he loses against me.
He's a great golfer, Willie. We'll give him a shout out.
He's a very good golfer.
Very good. It's very good. Some of the spectacular golf courses you've played and who you've invited on them is a member at Cathedral.
I am.
If so, take me for a round soon. That's what
Who's
he
that?
said. Willie J.
Oh, yeah. Well, you play. Oh, give me a spell. The bloke's there more than I am.
He's actually asked a lot of questions that we've already gone on. But he did say if you didn't tour your ACL, you'd be a superstar in the AFL.
So I was waiting for something like this.
Do you get that a lot?
It's because there's been some silly, just a couple of little media write-ups that just, it's like the old sex sells. It's just the over-dramatisation of how that all happened. It's annoying, and I cop a lot of shit from my teammates to this day about it because it's fake news anyway.
I love it. Well, good shout out to you, Willie J. You finally come through. Now, mate, you do go away a bit, and I've got to make sure that I make you look sharp. So
love this.
We are sponsored by RIXX Eyewear, and I need to make sure that when you do go to Europe next year, you're sorted. So I got you a pair of our.
Thank you very much.
Our Soho. What do we got here? Our Soho Storm back in stock. We've look great. We've got all different styles. People like certain styles. That's the one that I picked for you today. But
how does it sit on my big beak?
Yeah, it looks good.
It's all right.
Yeah, everyone looks good in the
I think they're very
Sohos.
comfortable, mate.
Just looked at the screen there. I looking at me empty tooth, mate. You can't tell me that this looks normal.
No, you can't. I'm telling you, you can't tell. I'm telling you, you can kick goal through it, but you're okay.
The big chompers with a little dash out of the front one. And mate, Rick's on tour. Two blokes that you'd love to take away for a week. The wife says, go away. You got 2 weeks. You got a week, but you can take two blokes. And what location in the world would you go?
Is this a celebrity question or is this just a mates?
Mates or celebrities, whatever. We don't really have any. You can do what you want with it. Start with mates and then maybe bring in a celebrity with you. And just tell me what kind of crew you've got and where are you going in the world and taking the RIXXs. So, you've travelled a bit. Where would you love to head?
Oh, where would it be? I have to be probably a golf trip, I reckon. I love a golf trip. Somewhere on the beach. Who would I take? Willie J, I think, would have to be one of them because he's the chief morale officer. He's always up and about, Willie. So I think he'd be a lock. Actually, the other one's a bit harsh. I feel like I'd be leaving a few people out here.
It's a hard one, just the two. It's only a week, though.
Oh, the Underwood boys would probably Griffin and Ryan Underwood. If you ever list, I'm going to send you this, so you better list to it. But maybe one of those two might be the other one because they're always good fun, loose units, know how to have a good time, good golfers, and just great for a bit of a piss take.
Yeah, that's good. So it's a loose week.
Always a loose week. Yeah.
And then where'd you go? Where are you going? What golf course in the world?
Good question. Where would it be? I reckon it'd be probably Ireland or Scotland. I reckon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I reckon. I had a really good trip to Ireland with one of my best mates, James Kerr, and played like Royal Canterdown, Royal Portrush, and courses around there was awesome. And then you got Dublin as well. Like, it was such a good place to party, and so probably something like that. Yeah.
Great place. I was actually talking about my old teammate Shawnee Hurley. He's an Irish recruit, and I actually stayed there for a week at his family house and went out in Dublin and Maynooth, and mate, it's a spectacular part of the world. And they're great people.
Awesome. Yeah, really nice people, mate. Good hospitality workers too. Good hospitality workers too, mate.
Oh, yeah. Their pubs are elite.
They are elite.
Talk about a ghost town, but then you go into a pub and it's pumping.
Yeah, I love it. They fucking drink piss.
Would you ever do an international pub or a cafe or anything in hospitality?
One of our partners is a Pommy, so Nikki Campbell. She's our exec chef. So she's got a British passport, like proper Pommy. So we've tossed it up. Yeah, I think maybe one day. I think maybe when she's ready to move back home, if she ever does. She reckons she's not going to, but I think she probably will. So maybe if we do open, we'll be somewhere in the UK. So I think so, yeah. I'd love to. It's not a priority right now, a young family and all that, but it'd be pretty cool to have something. If we were to do it, it'd be probably more so as a hobby passion project. I don't think it's part of our sort of commercial strategy, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it'd be cool though, wouldn't it? No,
it would be great. Yeah. I mean, it's always just, even if it's just one, just everyone get around there. Yeah. All the Aussies would just flock.
Exactly.
What Aussies
absolutely,
are like. That's good, mate. Well, I think that's all I've got for you. I've asked you. You've been unbelievable, mate. I appreciate you.
I hope I've been all right, mate.
You've been great. I think one thing with podcasts and being mates already, but some people don't like the numbers, and I do, and I'm sure you do. And I think our listeners will really appreciate you opening up, explaining, what things cost, the growth, the people involved, some headaches, some wins, the highs, the lows. But yeah, I definitely think the numbers is so important. It gives people a bit more of an idea of the industry that you're in, and it's way more real as well.
I think it's the easiest way to engage your audience if you just sort of have everything out on the table. And a lot of people are private about that stuff. I'm a big believer. It's not about how much you take; it's about how much you make. And if you talk about revenue numbers, it doesn't mean revenues for show, profits for dough. So you can take, you know what I mean. So I'm not really. I've never been really too secret about revenue numbers. I think it's important even with our staffing that I'm really open book. My old man, when he had venues, he was everything was like private. And but I'm different. I think it's a really great way to engage your staff. And you have that common goal, and everyone knows where the parameters are and what the goal is. I think I think it's fine. I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good for everyone that's involved, so they can grow and they can see the number. Oh, guys, 11 mil. Now we're aiming for 20 next year. We get it. You're all getting a pay. You're getting a pay increase.
Exactly.
So
I think it's great. I think it's important to have people motivated by the numbers. I think that's the easiest way to be on the same page.
Yeah,
so,
love it. No, mate, awesome. I thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy man, and just read out again your websites and where everyone can go in case, because there might be. I mean, most people here listening and watching would be at your local.
So the coffee, inglewoodcoffeeroasters.com.au. Jump on, buy some coffee.
You've just missed out
missed out on the sale, but we do sales probably once every 6 weeks. I'm going to say maybe a bit more, but yeah, jump on, give it a crack. And then if you want to come to any of our venues, onlyhospitalitygroup.com.au. Check out our venues. Come have a beer with me. I'm usually at one of the pubs on a Friday night.
Hotel Collingwood, I reckon I've seen you a few times there.
Hotel Collingwood's good fun. Yeah, it's always good to start off your night there. So yeah,
come in. Great. I think we had Jez's 200th. This is the last time I had a big hit out there. It was a great night.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we've had a good support from the AFL sector. It's been
it's a good spot.
It's a good spot, and there's also good room upstairs.
Actually around the corner from here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very close to here. And so is the Beehive. Yeah. So in Hawthorn. So yeah, very, very grateful, and yeah, thanks for the support. Appreciate you having me, Tommy. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, mate. Thanks for coming on, and thanks to everyone that tunes in every week. I hope you enjoyed this one, and make sure you get back to us when we put up the feedback or on Spotify. And we'll feed it to the great man for his time and let him know what you all loved. And if there's any more questions, I'll ask him privately. But thank you. Appreciate your support, and we'll see you next week. Aces, I know I always go on about the RIXXs, but I got huge news. We have all our styles and colours restocked on the website right now. Get online, grab some sunglasses at rixxeyewear.com.au right now and use our little discount code ACES if you want a 20% discount code on the house.